Go.
Hello, welcome back to NextDev FM, the show for developers by developers. My name is Dan Gusman. I'm joined by my lovely co-host,
Ryan Vogel.
and we have a very, very exciting guest today. Andre, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Andre. I'm a dev from Germany. That's the cool accent you're hearing. Yeah, I'm a dev rel at Neon now. I just met you guys in person last week at React Miami. We had a great time. Yeah, otherwise, I'm located in the Bay Area in Cupertino. And yeah, I love
His
all things
address
web.
is 4378 Bay Area. Go ahead and knock at his door and pull up.
That's right.
No, it's not fair because we were just talking about bad last name pronunciations, and Dan just introduced him as Andre.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna do a thing like, "What's your last name again?" But you just
That's not
ruined it.
fair. That's
You
not
just ruined it.
fair.
You just ruined it.
What's my
Oh,
last
well.
name?
Uh,
Curious, I forgot it myself.
I think it's Landgraf.
I don't know, man. If somebody can tell me, I would love to know, but I don't.
It's not too
Yeah.
bad. So in German, my name is pronounced Andre Landgraf,
That's pretty
Right.
cool.
but
Landgraf.
everybody here just says Andre and then Landgraf, I guess.
I said
Land-
Landgraf.
You said
Landgraf.
Lagraf, which sounds like a Disney villain, and I love it.
You're
So
gonna face the wrath of him.
It's
Yeah.
literally like the library, Landgraf, right?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I should make that meme. I
Yes.
should make that a meme on X.
Right?
yeah,
that'd,
you
be,
should.
that'd be hilarious.
All right.
Anyways,
Yeah, let's kick things off. So, want to hear about your background. You mentioned that you're not from the Americas; you're from European region. How'd you get here?
Long journey. I first did an internship with Mercedes in Sunnyvale for 1 year. That was right before COVID hit. So I was like, I moved to the US, and then 2 months later, yeah, I wasn't
Got
able
locked
to leave my
down.
house anymore. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Got put on house arrest. That must have been horrible.
No, it wasn't too bad. I had a really good time before COVID hit, and then working remotely from San Francisco was a little, from Sunnyvale was a little silly, but still, I really liked it here. Just the weather in California, obviously, but also the tech scene, as Dan knows from living here.
I
It's just really
experienced
good.
a little bit of it in React Miami, but I can definitely appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, React Miami is a different level, right? It's what you get in San Francisco on a sleepy, I don't know, Thursday, but like on steroids, right? Like
Right.
it's everything all at once. But yeah, so I just really liked it. And I was like, okay, I have to get there somehow. And then I looked for ways to get back. And one way to get into the United States is if you study. So that's what I did. I did a master's of computer science after the internship ended. And then after that, you have like a, it's called, I forgot all the names. It hasn't been too long ago, but what's it called again? You have like a work authorization to work after, and that's usually like how you get started there. So I did that. I started at LinkedIn as a software engineer, worked there for over 2 years, became a senior software engineer, and then this January joined Neon.
I'm proud to announce that you've done such a great job at LinkedIn. Congrats.
And
Did everyone like? Well, I'm jumping ahead, obviously, and I'll get back on track after this. But it's just funny. Did the people, when you were working at LinkedIn,
yeah,
were people like aware that it's like this overly like starched platform? Yeah.
Yes, we definitely did some B2B sales jokes internally, for sure.
Oh, that's too
Whenever we had to post something, right, like to try out a feature or something, we would usually auto-generate those, just like quickly have something, and then it would be like what we learned about B2B SaaS or something.
right.
Like that.
Yeah, that's too funny.
But yeah, I worked on Campaign Manager, which is it's like the ads manager of LinkedIn.
I
which
think
is a
I've
little
used
bit,
that before. Yeah.
yeah.
Got lots of B2B sales. It was great.
Yep. But yeah, it was a little detached from the other stuff. So
right.
luckily.
That's you weren't in the heart of it. That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you said you did computer science as your degree. Why computer science?
hmm So in Germany, I actually studied Wirtschaftsinformatik. You know
Come
what
again?
that is, right?
Yeah, sure. Just for everyone else that doesn't know, just refresh the memory really quick.
Sure. So Wirtschaftsinformatik is the German word for information systems. So like,
That sounds so
the
much cooler.
or the word-by-word translation is business informatics, I guess. And the reason I picked that is because I was a little bit afraid of the math in computer science, and the university from the area where I grew up in Germany, Friedrich Alexander University in Nuremberg. If you picked information systems, you were doing the math together with the economist people, or like the business majors. So that sounded like something I could do. So I just picked that. And then it was like basically 50-50 or 60-40, with 60 being the computer science part. I really liked it. The business major stuff is obviously very fluffy. I'm not sure what you guys studied, but very fluffy stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm actually a information technology major because I didn't want to do the math and comp sci, and a business minor. So
There you go.
I understand that completely. I'll be working on like data structures class and then go over to my business class, and then the assignment for the final is like fill in the lines, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. That's gonna get me canceled.
Yeah, I myself major in Goose Sciences, and I have been working in that degree for the past year and a half so far. So really excited.
That's super fascinating. I love that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, so sounds like you're quite you have quite a reputation in the internet space right now, for making all these events, getting communities together. How did you get there from being a software developer?
Dude, I want to know that myself.
He's like, I came here asking for answers. I hope
Yeah,
you were
I
going to
need
tell
help.
me.
Please help me. It's a really good question. So when I moved to the US, I didn't have too many friends, right? Like as you would expect, if you change countries, all your family and friends are back home. So I was kind of looking for a community, but then it was also like mid-COVID, so that wasn't happening. So when I started my degree, obviously there was like some classes starting slowly up again, like in person, so a little bit of that. But there was just like zero community in the Bay Area. There was this one very cool React meetup. I think it was like called React Bay Area or React San Francisco, something like that, by Benjamin Dumphy, I think is his last name. And I loved going to those whenever they were happening, but they weren't really happening regularly anymore. So I was just looking for something. And the story of how I started organizing myself instead of just like looking for places is a little bit more random. But the TLDR is I met Eric, a good friend of mine now, who has been doing meetups remotely during COVID in Florida, where he's from. And then he moved to the Bay Area. And we started doing Remix Bay Area meetups together, just fully remote in the beginning. And then that slowly turned into meeting at bars and just like, having dinner together, hanging out like as friends. 10 people would show up, 5 people would show up. And then at some point we had more time. We're like, let's do this more consistently. I was already working at LinkedIn by that point in time. And so from there, it like merged into React Bay Area. We, at that point, Benjamin was not doing React meetups anymore. So he maybe you've heard of the AI Engineer Conference with Wix. I think it's both in New York and San Francisco. So they kind of transitioned doing that instead of React. So the meetup group was like not used anymore, and we was just asked if we could take over. So we took over that. Then we weren't really good at naming things, typical programmer problem. So we called it Remix in React Bay Area, which is like so boring.
It's like a variable name right there.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a descriptor.
Remix or Bay Area maybe variable. And then it went very well. We did like a few bigger events. One shout out to Fly. We did one with them at A16C, and we got like 80 people showing up. we were like so excited. It's like, okay, we have to make this a thing. There's clearly a lot of interest in web community in the Bay Area again. And then we just named it All Things Web. And that name just came from tutoring. Us, like every Monday for 2 years, I did tutoring on the side. Again, I didn't have much to do when I came to the US. And that tutoring space I called All Things Web. So I just took the name that I already had for something else. And now it's a meetup, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So would you say that you got into web development deeper before LinkedIn? Because I know with LinkedIn you were kind of doing like the campaign scheduling. I don't know how much true web dev stuff you were doing, but what kind of got you into like this lovely world of hydration airs and all of that other stuff?
Yeah, that was during my studies in Germany already. So before I got my
way back.
Yes. So before I got my internship at Mercedes, that was, by the way, it was voice applications, also super interesting space. But I got that internship because I was already doing a lot of stuff on the side and like had good portfolio projects and like stuff to show basically. So
Right.
I had a few classes in my studies in Germany that were like, I don't know what they called them, like innovation lab. You know, it's like, we're gonna teach you how you're gonna do a startup. And then it was like all about like ideation and agile, right? Like all that. It's like,
Jira
sure.
tickets.
Yeah. But usually they had like some kind of project, like team project. You build something as an example. And that's how I got into React. Like one of them was like, yeah, use the, what is it called? The MongoDB React Express MERN stack, I guess MERN stack. Yeah, use the MERN stack for your project and build something that is your fake startup, and we grade you on that. And that was just like my first exposure to React, and I loved it. And then I spent way too much time on that stupid project trying to debug Material UI.
Right.
And then from that, just like did some West classes or courses, and then got the internship because of that stuff.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So right now you're with Neon, as you mentioned earlier. And for listeners unfamiliar with Neon, what's the quick pitch of what Neon does?
I have two pitches. The first one is, if you know Vercel, it's probably Vercel for Postgres databases. I think that's a good one. And the other one is the co-founders of Neon are long-time open source contributors to Postgres that decided they want to have some sort of open source Aurora alternative. And that vision has changed over time a little bit, but they kind of like created the architecture that they were envisioning, that is serverless Postgres. And that now is Neon as a service.
Interesting. That's cool. So they kind of just shaped this version of Postgres that's more suited for this sort of serverless era of the web, essentially. Nice.
Yeah, they were like, what are the problems with Postgres? One of them is obviously scaling it while it's still running, and then how can we solve these problems? And then through the new architecture where they split storage and compute, a lot of nice properties came out of that that allow some really cool things like the branching that I think, Ryan, you have been tinkering with lately.
I have.
Well.
It's on my to-do app. I think I have like 9 branches for all of these different cursor things that it's suggested, and I'm like, yeah, let's not push that to prod just yet. I don't think I want to drop the user's database.
Yep.
Maybe not. Yep. So you are DevRel there, right? What is an average day in your life look like for that? Do you wake up, get your Saratoga water, dunk it, and then get the banana, go for a 9-mile run?
Yeah. I usually jump and then I stay in air for 6 seconds also. That's a big part of my routine.
Naturally.
Yeah. Good question. It differs a lot. So like 1 week ago, I was at React Miami, right? So the whole week and the week ahead were about the conference, right? So I was helping David with his talk, right? We were building that game. So a lot of time during the week was like prepping him or like helping him with the slides or like coding on the game, and then actually going to the conference and just like yapping with way too many people.
I felt that. Yeah, it's so bad. I'm waiting for the recordings to get dropped because I only went to one talk because I was yapping too much.
One talk?
I know.
Come
I'm
on.
like, I know, and I'm like, I missed all of the other amazing talks. And it's so funny because I would get there at like 9, 10 a.m. and then I'd look at my watch or my Whoop and be like, wait, it's 7 o'clock. Where did all the time go? So
Dan, how many talks did you listen to?
A few more, but
There you
not
go.
that far from Ryan. A few more.
Okay.
We were spending a lot of time together recording stuff actually with Ryan.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. No,
we
you
were banging
both
out
are
those
killing it.
90-second next devs.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. If you haven't seen them, check them out on X, the Everything app.
Follow us at NextDev FM, and we'll be launching 2 to 3 new 90-second next devs every day with a
That's right.
person that's most likely famous or Landgraf.
Landgraf. Or Landgraf. What are you
Or
saying,
Landgraf.
man?
Anyway, sorry, continue. So you do all that, and it sounds like you're just having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. It is very different from like your software engineering job, right? So like at LinkedIn, I was a front-end dev, or like I guess full stack-ish dev, but
Right.
I didn't want to work too much with Java, so mostly front-end dev.
They use Java?
They use Java on the server, which obviously it's a 10-year plus old business, so it checks out.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
And then Ember on the front end mostly, which is like, if you don't know what Ember is, it's full stack. It's a web framework similar to Angular or
Interesting.
existed before React came out.
Interesting.
Wow.
And as a front-end dev, what you do a lot is, right, you get a project assigned to you in the beginning of a quarter, you meet with a designer, then you have that thing that you have to build, right? You split it down into beautiful Jira tickets that you totally measure accurately. And then you start just like coding every day, maybe producing 1 or 2 PRs a day, right? And then fighting through the reviews and then just like iterating for a month or something until you have something to show, and then you work through the bugs, and it's usually like 1 or 2 tasks a day, right? It's like fix this bug and fix this bug, or like work on this feature, right? And DevRel is very different. So DevRel is 50 things come up because you usually get looped into a lot of things. For instance, someone has an issue on Twitter, right? So you probably want to DM them and be like, hey, what's the issue? And then connect them with the right people. I guess that's a little bit more customer supporty, but it happens. But then maybe there's this cool topic everybody's talking about, and you can kind of make content around it, right? So like there's this like content creator side to DevRel that you can lean into. And then for me, mostly it's in-person events. So since I'm located in the Bay Area, right, that's where my focus lies. Neon has 3 DevRels. We all have different focus areas, and mine is in-person stuff, mostly.
Right on. So, sort of related, sort of not. Neon does serverless, right? Serverless database, serverless Postgres. And we've recently seen serverless not being as hype as it used to be. What are your thoughts on the current standing of serverless in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's always trends back and forward, I guess, but I think serverless means something very different for databases than it means for like a serverless function. Because like if you talk about serverless functions versus long-running servers, right, like that's one discussion to be had. And then if you talk about database architectures, right, like serverless usually means something different, because if 3 people hit your serverless functions, they may all end up in their own functions, right? But that's not how a serverless database works. If 3 people hit the same serverless database, one of them may start that database, but then they all hit the same serverless
Like
database.
the same instance of it.
Yes.
So it's like it's more aligned to like kind of what Vercel has done recently with their fluid compute, where the first one starts the instance, and for as long as there are requests, that instance stays live, and then so it can basically auto scale and do everything like that, right? Sort of.
Yeah, I guess you can. I guess that's a good. Yeah, they're similar in that way.
Right.
But still, like, if the decision, if you like want to make a web server serverless versus long running is a very different set of decisions that you take into account versus your database. So yeah, I think for instance, you can have a long running server and then still argue for a serverless database, or you can have serverless functions calling each other and whatnot, and then still have a different decision for what you need on the database side.
Right.
Wait, so you're saying there are servers, although it's called serverless? This doesn't make sense. What?
Okay. Don't worry about it. Sorry, I got
Okay.
confused.
What's a server?
It's like a gun pointing to my face. Like, oh, don't worry about it. There's no servers.
Yep, that's funny. So, you're a remix guy, right? You wouldn't have by any chance actually written a book on that. Because nobody would be crazy enough to write a book on remix, right?
No, yeah. Like that would be crazy because we all know how quickly web dev stuff is changing. So trying to write something in the matter of a year for it then just to change on you a couple of times, like everybody would tell you this doesn't make sense. So like,
yeah, exactly. But you did do that.
Crying. Yes, I did write a book about remix.
How was... I mean, you basically teed up your own question. The web dev community is like, I mean, even now with the age of AI, it's changing like literally like 3 times a day. People are vibe coding their own JS frameworks and plugins and stuff like that. So what inspired you to write the book on remix?
I got the opportunity and then I thought about it a little bit and said yes. That's the TLDR. But yeah, I think people learn in very different ways. And I'm personally like a video person. So like if I want to learn something, I could never read a book. Like that just doesn't work for me. I have to watch a video, maybe a podcast, right? But some concepts can be very nicely explained in text. So I have a blog and I've been writing blog posts for a long time already. And from just like studying way too long, like I wrote a master's thesis, right? I wrote a bachelor thesis. Like I'm very used to working on a text-based thingy for way too long and being frustrated about it. So like that's all, I was all used to that already. And then the things that I'm excited about remix are very timeless. So like for instance, use the platform, why you should have a server in front of your SPA, all of these kind of concepts. So I thought that writing them down could be a little bit more timeless than just the iteration of the framework. That said, though, remix has changed a ton since it came out like over a year ago. So I would not recommend anybody to buy the book anymore. And I'm currently thinking about what I should do if it's worth it, like doing a second iteration or something else.
A sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Like edition 2, I guess. But yeah, so I love remix because of like the philosophy behind it. And the book is mostly about that. And obviously it goes through how you do stuff as remix. But I think if you're really interested in what web standards can, like how web standards can be used in modern web applications, that's mainly the focus of the book.
Yeah, so I want to focus on that a little bit more. Why remix, right? Because I've seen a lot of people become very passionate about this framework. And, you know, for us React soy devs, we might not understand. So I would love you to pitch in and explain why should folks pay attention to it.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense anymore because remix is dead, right? Sorry, Brooks, if you're listening.
Dude, you got a book. Your publisher is going to come down and just...
Okay, I tell you the story about this. But okay, first of all, why remix? I feel like, in general, there's something to be said about taste, right? We all have very different tastes, or just like the experience that led us to where we are right now. And then we look at different tools that we could use, and we all have different opinions. What's like just fits our mind better, right? Some people really prefer Svelte over Vue over React. And I think this is just another example of this where I moved to the US. I didn't have much to do. Ryan Florence started posting about this new cool thing he's working on. I've watched all his videos because he's really good at breaking things down and explaining. I loved it. I really thought there's something for me to learn, right? Like, oh, you can use web standards and React, and you don't have to solve every problem with the 4 React hooks you have. Like, you can actually use, I don't know, the URL or something.
Right.
So there was just a lot for me to gain, right? And that's why I bought the Remix license before it was open source and joined their Discord and just like hang around in the community, just because like I got a lot out of it. So I kind of grew up with Remix that way. And at this point, I'm just really good at it. So obviously you can use Next.js, and Next.js and Remix now have very similar features. And 10-stack Start is also having a very like similar approach, right? Like they all different, like very nuanced way. So it's really hard to compare them.
Right.
But in the end of the day, you can build the same grade of applications with them. And I just picked Remix because it was at the right time. I was at the right space. I picked it. Now I'm good at it. So why would I use anything else?
Yeah,
Right.
that makes
the
sense.
breakdown.
Yeah.
And then I also just like my brain, I guess, works the Remix way, which is like, oh, you have a loader where you do stuff on the server and you pass stuff down to a component. It's like, but then you have a form that like does a mutation that goes to an action, and once the action is done, the loader is reloaded and your data is automatically revalidated. So that's like the pitch for Remix, right? It's like this like nice circle of data flow, and just like it's super simple and it gets you really, really far without a lot of the chaos you have if you have to manage all that state in React components.
Right. Would it be accurate to say that it's just React router in framework mode?
It is literally super accurate, because what they did is they were like, okay, we have a router, we have a lot of experience, let's build a framework. They built Remix, iterated over 2 versions on it, and then realized they could move a lot of that stuff back into React Router. So that's what they did. And now React Router Framework World is everything that was Remix over the past years. So when I talk about Remix, I'm actually using React Router, right? So like there's no more Remix package right now. It's all React Router. That's why people say Remix is dead, because it's React Router.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
it's like it's just taken everything learned, bundled it up, and put into React Router framework.
Yeah. So the last version of React Router is Remix. But why would you need to name it Remix now if it's in the React Router packages, right? So like the team is still called the Remix team that was acquired by Shopify. The meetups and community, the philosophy, I guess, is still all referred to as Remix, but the packages you install right now are all React Router.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. And there was this blog post about this, right? It's like Remix is taking a nap, and that was kind of their story. They were like, okay, we're moving everything back to React Router, and it kind of became a meme that Remix is dead. So that's why I made the joke in the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, you just remembered you mentioned briefly your blog, and I really loved one of your posts about, was it syntax highlighting or markdown rendering with Shiki? And when's the next post coming out, man? Come on, I'm waiting.
Yeah, I haven't written stuff in a while, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, you should drop something. I love reading your blogs.
When's
Thank
the
you, I
next
appreciate
post
that.
dropping, man?
Yeah, I guess I need a good topic. So that's probably like one of the things I love about DevRel is that you can touch a lot of different technologies and play around with them. But I have a lot of like open projects right now, but nothing is like fully finished. So I still have to like, the next thing I'm going to write about is going to be sync engines for sure. But there's still like, I'm not done yet exploring it. Like I don't have a story to tell yet. So I have to wait a little bit.
Interesting. Everyone right now, if you're watching this, at him with your new blog post idea, so that way he'll get added with like 30 or 40 different new things. Do it right now. Look at his at.
There you go. And now you will have ideas what to write about. That's
exactly.
it.
For the next 6 months.
Easy.
There you go.
Ideas is not the problem. It's more the time and execution that's lacking right now. So I built this open source package called OpenAMG. I really wanted to write at least one good blog post about that too, but the draft is just laying around and I have to pick it up again.
That's funny.
Yeah. Right now, my urge is just like, in my free time, I want to build stuff. Like AI is so much fun to play around with, and it's so cool how quickly you can build stuff that I really like writing, but right now, like writing feels boring to me. I just like the next thing I want to do is like ship something.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Makes sense.
All right. Back to all things web. So a little bit of a backstory. I actually fell in love with the idea of going to events after I went to All Things Web. I went to All Things Web. I was visiting San Francisco for business, and I'm like, this is amazing. I want to go to these things like every week. And that's one of the major motivators why I ended up in San Francisco, actually. So, Andre, thank you for that. So you talked a little bit about the backstory on All Things Web, and what was your motivation to get that started? You just really wanted to meet up with devs? That was the entire idea?
Yeah, first off, I really appreciate that. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first one you joined was Vercel, the Vercel meetup, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember meeting you. Yeah, that was also a really good one. So like, I guess we were lucky that you
Yeah.
joined that one first. Yeah. Good question. Yeah, I think it's super selfish. I just want to hang out with cool people and nerd out with them. Like basically the React Miami experience in a very light form on a monthly basis is, you don't want to, like, there has to be balance, obviously. Like, I want to code stuff primarily, but at least once a month, I want to talk with like-minded people and like exchange ideas or rant about what hasn't worked or yap about comparing Next.js and Remix, right?
Right.
I think meetups are just the perfect place for this. And especially in San Francisco, it's pretty easy to organize an event because there's a lot of people that want to go to events. So like we just tried it and it worked, and then we like it. The organization part has become a little bit more, so that one I don't appreciate too much, but it's still worth it. So like every time I go, I have a ton of fun. This Saturday we are at Sentry for a full day hackathon, and like I'm super excited to just like hang out with everybody, see what everybody's building, hack a little bit myself. So it's just really worth it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And even being in California, all you got to really do is just print out a flyer that says hackathon with a QR code, and you'll get like 1,000 signups just like and put it on a random street post.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're pretty blessed that way that it's in San Francisco. It makes it much easier. I'm sure that like, I don't know, where do you live, Ryan? What's the address?
1234 Florida Gator Humidity Street.
Yeah, I think in Florida Gator it would be a little harder to do a tech meetup. Like you can probably find a few friends and grow it from there. But like, yeah, it doesn't need to be a lot of people. It's still fun if it's just a few friends in a bar. But obviously it's super rewarding if companies want to host you and people reach out for speaking opportunities, right? Like that obviously makes it a lot more fun.
Definitely accelerates for sure.
Yeah.
And that's a ludicrous marketing opportunity for companies too. There are a lot of developers that are looking to hack on new things. And what better place is there to pitch your tech, right?
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
I agree. So obviously we all have these sort of pseudo dev careers. Community is obviously very important because that's how new frameworks, new ideologies, new methodologies and stuff like that get shared and exchanged and stuff like that. How has like running like these sort of like meetups and stuff like that sort of shaped your ideology on how like community impacts developers and stuff?
Yeah, I think I can only repeat what Kenzie Dodds is always like advocating about in-person events, right? Like he's a huge fan of conferences and whatnot. So like my job at Neon right now, I literally got that job because of the event organization and community work, right? Just that's how I was referred, and that's how they even noticed that I exist. So it just like can provide you a lot of opportunities if you're open, you show up, and you're friendly, I guess.
Right. Friendly is a big thing.
So, and then in general, to your question regarding community, like 100% agree. Like the Twitter tech community, right, or Blue Sky plus X, now a little bit split community.
Right.
It's not too many people, right? Like how many like active community members that like engage with each other, like show up at conferences or like meaningfully contribute to open source or are active on YouTube and whatnot, like write blog posts. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, probably going to be a wrong guess, but like maybe 500 or something. It's a very small community, but it's so rewarding because you can talk to like some of the coolest minds in web dev, right? And
right.
they're all very open to conversations, to feedback, to questions. And yeah, I love it. Like there's so much opportunity there if you take it seriously. And I don't think a lot of people take it seriously, like just from working at Mercedes and LinkedIn, right? Like most people work 9 to 5 after asking maybe one question on Stack Overflow. that's their that's their only really touch point to web dev community, and then
Right.
they go back home. And if you want to take it a step further and you maybe can turn it into a passion, right, or into community, I think it's super rewarding.
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are both killing it, right? So like you can probably tell more of a story there than me, especially when it comes to X. You
I
both
can
graduated
definitely
from
say
Miami.
the X part, because I think I was just
Yeah.
looking at this. I just hit 1,700 followers, which is insane because I'm looking at my analytics right now. Literally, what's it? So if we look at the 1 year view,
Yeah, like half a year ago, you were basically fresh account.
yeah, I basically joined in November, and yeah, I've gained and I've networked and stuff like that because it's such a great way to sort of network and stuff like that, because you're going to meet so many new people and everything like that, and the
Yeah.
opportunities that I've had are completely unforeseen. You would never be able to expect it, and the only way to kind of know about it is to actually go out and do it. So
Yeah.
with the web and with the social platforms and stuff like that, trends come and go a ton. So Andre, what are some of the biggest web dev trends that you're into like right now? Like,
That's a good question. So I kind of hinted at it already, right? When I was saying my next blog post will probably be about sync engines.
right?
So React Server Components has been out for a while. I don't know. Do you guys have you used them? You guys do Next.js stuff, right? So
Yeah.
no, yeah, no,
Maybe
no.
little bit.
So there's like React's vision of how software can be written in the future, right? But there's also the second trend that, I mean, Dex has advocated for it a little bit, right, with Zero. And then there's Electric SQL and a bunch of others. And they're interestingly enough, right, there were 2 talks that Ryan didn't listen to at React Miami.
I will.
So it's definitely like an upcoming topic, and it's like a very different approach to data fetching and handling. Like it's kind of related to this like local first philosophy, right? I think it's super interesting. I'm not sure if it can solve all the problems right now. Like I'm hyped right now. It's like, oh yeah, you should always use a sync engine. But like I'm pretty sure it's just like for a linear style of app that it really makes sense. But yeah, I think that's like a space where I feel like that's a trend that like it will take a while for adoption because it's very different. But yeah, I'm super excited about sync engines.
Yeah, I've been in my personal project right now, the to do the ultimate to do app that has recently blown up. I don't know why. It's like the most standard to do app, but it just looks like a linear type thing. It has I wouldn't even call it a sync engine. It just has a use state with a to-do object that then anytime it gets updated, gets pushed to local storage and pushed to the server. It's probably horribly inefficient, but it's boosted performance because it uses that cached local storage data as the initial variable data. And I mean, just even reloads and stuff like that, you don't have to go out and fetch it from the server. And it just makes it even easier, even if you do that backend revalidation once it actually loads and you like ease the replace into it.
Yeah.
It's gotten great reception. And I think it's just that we've been through this era of the web where everything was kind of server side rendered and like streamed in. And now we're kind of bringing everything back to the client, which I think is great because it makes everything faster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that definitely qualifies as a sync engine. Are you storing
It's a
stuff
janky
in the
one.
Yeah, didn't you mention cookie on X as well? Like storing something in the cookie, or did I misread that?
That was a junk post. I think I'm looking up
I
right
saw
now.
that and was like, oh, innovation happening in front of my eyes.
I post too much. I need to.
That's all
Oh
good.
no, yeah, that was a shit post.
Okay,
But
I see
it does technically use cookies. It doesn't use like the what is it, the indie Dexy DB. It doesn't use any of that. It just stores it in a cookie that then I just validate and check every now and then.
Mhm.
And it's worked so far. So if people get mad at that, I've got
No.
65 daily active users. So boom.
Boom.
Yeah. Let's go.
But
That's right.
yeah.
You should watch that talk. I think it was posted already from React Miami by
Oh,
the
was it?
Corp, by Rossi Corp guy, Aaron Budman.
Mhm.
Let me
He
check.
made a talk on Zero and other sync engines, and it was really, really insightful.
Yeah. There's a lot of still like unsolved problems. Like for instance, the deployment story is really annoying, right? You can't deploy a sync engine to Vercel. You have to go to AWS. And for like smaller projects, right? Like that's like really annoying to do. So there's like a lot of like DX that can be improved. But if you have like something like more serious, or you have an existing AWS account, or Fly.io, I guess works as well. Trying it out is like super interesting because of what Ryan mentioned with you fetch stuff before you need it, so that when someone shows up, it feels like it's already there, right? Or it's instant. And that's just like enables a really cool way of exploring applications or working, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we briefly touched on this transition path that you had from developer to DevRel position. And what would be your advice to people trying to replicate that path and getting into DevRel work?
If you feel like you're not drained after talking to people for a few hours, no, I'm kidding. So DevRel,
It's a great
and
indicator though. If you can go to
Yeah.
React Miami and talk for 2 straight days and still go get coffee the next day, then you definitely need to look at something for public speaking.
You're an
because,
absolute machine.
Right?
I was dead, dude.
I know Goose was telling me about this because I was literally hitting the. I felt so bad for him because I would be walking around with our NextDev mic and
Yeah.
I would point to him across like the room and be like, "Come
This
on,
guy.
let's go," and I'd have like Tomo or something like that from Vercel, and he's like, "Bro, just let me go eat my food." It was too funny.
Yeah. No, I mean DevRel is a very large field, right? Like if you Google, there's like 1 or 2 really good blog posts. I forgot, like Mary is, I think, is her name. If you Google for like DevRel blog posts, so like there's like a lot of different companies do it very differently, and then your job would be very different. And for that, you could like forge a different path from engineering to DevRel, right? If you think about like SDK development, right? That's DX. That could be a DevRel's job, right? Or like very like focusing on your dashboards experience could be a DevRel's job, right? And that's very close to front end engineering. But then when it comes more to like awareness, right? Like if you think about a funnel that goes to reaching people, they engage with your brand, and then at some point they try it out, right? And then they activate and become a customer. That whole funnel can be something that a DevRel works on. And then for each of these steps, it's a very different path and job. For me, it's very like top of the funnel. So going to events, meeting people, checking out what they're building, telling them all about Neon, right? Like merch, conferences, speaking at conferences. That's all like very top of the funnel. So for that kind of stuff, I think starting to going to in-person things, or being active on social media, or doing video content, or in general like content creation, are all very good pathways to see and explore if DevRel is something you could be interested in.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you do DevRel at Neon, you do writing the next big book, events and stuff like that. Do you have a personal life, or is it just work? How do you manage and balance all of that?
Yeah. I gave a very short lightning talk at Epic Conf, and the MC Taylor asked me I had to write down, I think, like a little bio or something so they could like announce, right? And they're like, reading it all out, and then we're like, I guess that person doesn't have hobbies.
Right?
I really enjoyed like the meetup stuff. So like All Things Web, for instance, is kind of part of my job now, but I would definitely still say it's also a hobby. Like organizing these events, it's like a nice distraction from coding, or like a nice alternative sometimes. So yeah, it's a good question. You can be in different stages of your life and then prioritize different things. When I was at LinkedIn, I definitely did more things outside of work. And now I decided now is a great time to just really focus on everything. Yeah. I don't web dev related, I guess, or like work adjacent, right?
Right.
But mostly because I really enjoy it. So like I don't feel like I'm burning out or anything right now. Like I get a lot of great feedback, a lot of like meeting a lot of cool people. Everybody's super happy, excited. So yeah, I'm really enjoying myself right now. But yes, I do not do a lot of things outside of work. I I do have a wife, and we hang out obviously a lot and like do dinner together and whatnot.
Right.
Go shopping. So like the regular things, but like there's not really like a hobby I could mention anymore. Like outside, like maybe going for walks or to the gym or something.
Well, I think you also value your life, so I don't think you would mention your wife as a hobby either. That might be dangerous.
Yeah, life
Yes.
dangerous. Yeah. So when you take a break from coding and coding related work, do you talk about coding with your wife? Just curious.
Luckily, she is not in tech. She's a therapist, so there's no conversation happening about JavaScript.
I know that's refreshing for me too, because my girlfriend's a graphic designer, and it's nice because I can't even talk about
Yep.
XJS or React or anything like that.
Right.
So it's a good refresh and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually have a rule in my house, like no JavaScript in the bedroom. Like it's just banned. Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, we're gonna get demonetized.
Oh, man.
We haven't
I wanna
even
do-
gotten monetized, but we're gonna get demonetized.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
boy.
So what I'm hearing is that Dan, in the bedroom, it's only system programming and
Yes,
and
yes,
deeper
you got
down
that
with
right.
like,
It's only
Yeah.
Rust.
yeah.
Oh boy. All right, let's move on before we worse.
Yeah, so there's this question that we keep asking every guest that comes on, and you're no different, so we're going to ask you the same thing. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Good question. I think I have a lot of answers. One would be just try things and don't study so much. Germany in particular, education is for free, which is amazing. But also that because of
What?
that, it's yes, European things. But because of that, one of the downsides is that it's very easy to tell yourself to keep studying because you're not ready for life yet, right? Like, let's do a master. Why don't we let's just do a PhD, right? Like, with a PhD, I will surely be more prepared for the job, right? So like people jumping between like similar fields of studying because they like that, like focus a little bit more. And like, we spend way more time in universities than I think people in the Bay Area. And I'm totally happy with how everything turned out. So like no regrets, but I would probably tell my earlier self to just try things, or like you can just do things. You don't need to study
Just do it.
like don't wait for a lecturer to explain stuff to yourself. Like you can figure it out yourself, basically.
That's a very valuable piece of advice, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
people need to act.
You need to do something. Because
Yeah.
you're not going to know what to refine your education on until you actually get feedback from what you're doing. And yeah, I agree.
And there is obviously value in universities. Like I would, if I go back in time, I would still study, right? It's just the question, do I need to study for that long as I did with master degrees and whatnot? Or the question of if I could not just use the time, the plenty of time you have while you study, right? For other things. And gaming.
And
What do
gaming.
you play? What do you play?
Dude, I
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, I'm a huge gamer. I'm super into Stardew Valley.
I know.
Uh,
I recently got my girlfriend a Switch for her birthday, and I found myself when I'm like working on a problem and I need to just like take like 5 minutes, I'll go over and like play like Mario Kart and just be
Yeah.
like, oh, why is this not working? It's an amazing cleansing. It's perfect.
Yep. Yeah.
I myself try to stay away from video games nowadays because I disappear for hundreds of hours if I lay my eyes on a game,
Yeah.
and I can't
It's a
afford
huge
to.
time sink. It's a lot of fun, right? It's a great hobby. I still game a bit here and there, like a session of Overwatch or Counter-Strike or something. But yeah, last summer was the last time I really gamed, which was like Baldur's Gate when it came out. Like it just like I disappeared for hundreds of hours. Yeah.
Felt that 100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question that we got in chat actually, and person is studying AI and is a little concerned that education is not going to help at all, considering how
Mhm.
how fast things are moving.
Yeah.
How do you stay in sync with what's going on in the industry?
Yeah. I think universities are great for a lot of reasons. And I think everybody should find their own way in life. So like I would never encourage someone from like, I don't know, dropping or like going to school, like whatever feels right to you, do that. And nobody can really prescribe, I think, because everybody's path is so differently there. If you're in university though, and you decide you want to do that, make the most out of your time. It's great for networking. There's a lot of young people in your age who want to try stuff out, try to meet the right people and try to find those and then stick around with them and learn from them and engage with them, because those are great communities that you can leverage all your life, right? They will all end up in great spaces, and you want to make sure that you make those friends. There's also a lot of like fun hackathon and other activities, right? Like utilize them as much as you can. And then obviously pass your classes, but I wouldn't over-index the best grades as much as building yet another application or AI project on your side, because I feel like that's how you really learn the most. Obviously, it always depends, right? There's nuance. Let's say you want to do something that requires good grades, then you probably have to invest a little bit more time there. But in general, try to hack and do as much stuff as possible. And there will never be more time for that than in university. So it's basically meaning you're unemployed, but your parents are still proud of you. So utilize that time.
Right.
And get the
You
most
still
out of
have
it.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're about to reach time here. So I will go ahead and wrap up. If people want to find and buy your book and keep up with your work and all that other stuff, where can they find and connect with you?
Yeah, I think X is probably the best starting point. I'm pretty sure you linked it somewhere, but it's like first name, last name, and then 94. Because yeah, why not? Why not add your age there, right?
Right.
You're 94 years old? Dang.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
What face
Yeah, so
cream
it's
do you use?
Andre Landgraf, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Andre Landgraf.
Awesome. All right, we got that.
Awesome.
Now, I also have a website, andrelandgraf.dev or .com, should both work.
There we
From
go.
there, you can also find all the links.
Buy that book. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It was amazing. It was super insightful to hear about your journey and everything like that. And I definitely know that some people in the audience got some great insights and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. So yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Make sure we launched a new merch site for NextDev.fm. So make sure to go to NextDev.fm, scroll down a little bit, and get yourself a T-shirt and a sticker pack. It's pretty legit. It's great
Those are
quality.
some nice T-shirts.
Oh,
Yeah.
They are some nice T-shirts.
I have to check that out immediately.
Yes. you
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
Yes, you do.
That's
It's funny
so
enough,
cool.
we actually shipped the PR to add the purchasing in the hotel lobby of React Miami.
That's right.
Very true. Very true. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. It was great. And we will see you guys next time.